Hello, wonderful to see you again. It's Judy from Coffee, Cookies, and Books. And what we're going to do today is go over a great collection of books that are coming out in the month of August. Can't wait to share that with you. Really hope you'll stick around for it. Thanks so much for sticking around. I'd really love it if you could like and subscribe to the channel. It would help me in growing. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year and can't do it without you. So I'd really appreciate that. Okay, that's out of the way. Now let's get on with the good stuff. Just one small housekeeping thing that I need to take care of, which I forgot in my review video, and it's just one of the challenges that I participate in. It was created by Bree from Four Paws and a Book, and it is the 25 and 25 bingo challenge. And I'm going to put it up. I'll put it up on either side, whichever, probably this side because the laptop's over here. And every month I pick a few books that I've read that fit into the prompts on here. So the two prompts that I picked from the month of June's reading were, actually together. They're fourth row down, and the first two that you would see going from left to right. So the first one is the book God Blind. I did pull them off my shelves so that I could show you them again. So it's God Blind by Anna Stevens, and I did review this and I quite enjoyed this book, but it fits the prompt for over 400 pages. I think it was almost 500 actually, this particular book. So it fit that slot. So that's the first one that's in there. Second one from the bottom on the left. Okay. All right. The other one was special edition. I don't have a ton of special edition books, so I took the opportunity and used Heavenbreaker by Sarah Wolf. I also read this in the month of June, and it has the sprayed edges. It also has a really nice interior and, other potential artwork in there. The back is pretty much the same as the front. Let me check. Yes, and it's also got the really nice hardback as well. So this was a special edition. I actually got it off the book outlet, and I read this in June. Thoroughly loved it, and the sequel is coming out at the beginning of 2026, and I'm hoping to pick that up because I actually quite enjoyed it. It is like sci-fi, very heavy sci-fi with a bit of fantasy elements to it. And next to no romance, just sort of the suggestion of attraction. That's it, that's in there. It is more science fiction, but it's science fiction with a story very much in the keeping of Red Rising, I think was how I described it. So if anybody's interested in that, I would thoroughly encourage you to read it. Okay, so that's it for that. Let's get into what we're really here for. August releases have so many to share with you. So our first release date is August 5th. We start off with a bang, which is one that I'm very much looking forward to, and that is Accomplice to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Maehrer. Now, I have, this is a 3-book series, and it starts with Assistant to the Villain, then goes to Apprentice to the Villain. Now, I've read Assistant to the Villain, absolutely love that book. So Apprentice to the Villain, I've put on my must-reads for this year because I would like to complete that one. And I actually have Accomplice to the Villain on pre-order. So it's coming out at the beginning of August. It won't get read right away, but it'll probably get read before the end of this year. So then all 3 books will be completed and that series will be completed. Now, I'm not going to read so this is like a fantasy with a slight bit of a romance interest in it. I would not call it a romantasy. I'd call it more of, it's like a, it's got a bit of comical elements to it, but it also had some kind of serious repercussions in it as well. So I really, really loved it. But I'm just going to read you the synopsis from the first book in case you haven't heard of Assistant to the Villain and you can make up your mind on what to do. Once Upon a Time meets The Office, and that is exactly how this fantasy is together. Assistant wanted. Notorious high-ranking villain seeks loyal, level-headed assistant for specific office duties, supporting staff for random mayhem and terror and other dark things in general. Discretion a must, excellent benefits. So Evie, who is out of a job because her previous employer was a creep, and so she ended up leaving that job, and she needs a job to help support her family, and so she accepts a job working for him, and that's where the story begins. Wonderful story. Really, really enjoyed it. And so the third book, Accomplice to the Villain, is the one that's coming out August 5th. Okay, so that one's huge interest to me. So then the next one is also one. Now, I will admit, this is the second one in a 2-book series. It is The Fallen and the Kiss of Dusk. It's part of the Crowns of Nyaxia by Carissa Broadbent. So there were 2 books that were the first 2 books, and that was about a certain couple. And then this is the 4th book, but it is the second book in the second couple. I hope that makes sense. So I don't want to read the synopsis on this because it could potentially give it away, but this is about 2 different characters in the same world as the first 2 books. And this is, it has to do with vampire society, and it's very much fantasy romance, or romantasy, I guess is how you would put it. So, now I have the first 2 books for the first couple. I have not picked up the second book, the first book of the second series, and I'm not going to until I read the first one. So we'll see how I feel about it once I read the first 2, and then we'll go on from there. I do have the novella that comes in between, and I've also read Slaying the Vampire Conqueror, which is also part of this world. So, and I really enjoyed that. So anybody who's looking forward to the second book in this series, it's coming out the 5th of August. Okay, so then the next one we have is a romance. It's called Well, Actually by Mazey Eddings. I have never read anything from this author. I have no idea how she writes, but this one is definitely an August 5th release. It says, Eva Kitt never expected to be the host of Sausage Talk, interviewing B-list celebrities over lukewarm hot dogs instead of pursuing the journalism career she dreamed of. But when Eva's impromptu public call out of her college ex goes viral, she's thrust into the spotlight. It doesn't help. Said ex is Riley Cooper, a beloved social media personality that has built a platform on deconstructing toxic masculinity and teaching men how to be good partners. So obviously this is going to force the 2 of them together, and it's like oil and water, clearly, and their exes. So it's obviously a bit of a second chance romance, and it actually sounds like it's also a rom-com. So, and go from there with that one. Next one on the list is a, what looks like a psychological thriller. It's called The Lock Ward by Sarah Pekkanen. I've never read anything from her, although I have heard nothing but good things. I'll read a little bit of the synopsis. Was it bitter, all-consuming jealousy, pathological sibling rivalry, pure insanity. Whatever the cause, and everyone has a theory, it's the crime of the decade when glamorous Georgia Cartwright, who was adopted as a newborn, is accused of killing the biological daughter of the wealthy Southern family. Georgia is locked in a psychiatric institution where the most violent offenders are held while she awaits trial. The only words she whispers when her estranged twin sister Amanda visits are, "I didn't do it. You've got to get me out of here." So, interesting, that one. It's definitely falls under the thriller suspense. Definitely more of like a psychological thriller from the sounds of it. So, then next on the list is one that I found highly unusual, which is why I put it on here. It's The Hounding by Xenobe Purvis, and I can't remember what it's rated under. It is rated under Gothic English History Historical Fiction. So it's like a historical fiction book. Everyone, even before the rumors about the Mansfield girls begin, Little Nettlebed is a village steeped in the uncanny, from strange creatures that wash up on the riverbank to portentous ravens gathering on the roofs of people about to die. But when the villagers start to hear barking and one claims to see the Mansfield sisters transform before his very eyes, the allegations spark fascination and fear like nothing has before. The truth is that though the inhabitants of Little Nettlebed have never much liked the Mansfield girls, a little odd, think some, a little high on themselves, perhaps, they've always had plenty to say about them, as the rotating perspectives of 5 villagers quickly make clear. Now is no exception, even if local beliefs in witchcraft is waning, an aversion to difference is as widespread as ever, and these conflicting narratives all point to the same ultimate conclusion. Something isn't right in Little Nettlebed, and the sisters will be the ones to pay for it. So it says, it's a rich atmospheric parable of the pleasures and perils of female defiance. The Hounding considers whether in any age it might be safe to be a dog than an unusual young girl. I thought that sounded really, really weird. I am going to potentially predict that this could be an aardvark pick for the month of August, because this sounds exactly like up their alley. Yeah, so I'm going to wait and see, but yeah, I have a funny feeling that it might very well be. We'll see. Okay, next up is Mistress of Bones by Maria Z. Medina. This one I think is a dark fantasy for young adults, fairy tales and myth sagas, fantasy romance for young adults. So it's definitely YA. And it says an epic multi-POV debut fantasy, so it is a debut, perfect for fans of The Bone Shard Daughter and Six of Crows, where a necromancer trying to resurrect her sister gets embroiled in a bigger world-ending plans instead. So, take that as it will. I don't know if it's a series. It says, he lives for death, she defies it. So that's kind of like the tagline on the book. Had to get in close to see that because it's like, oh, little wee itty bitty type. But yeah, sounds like it's going to be interesting. And if you like that sort of thing, there you go on that one. Next one up is The Magician of Tiger Castle by Louis Sachar. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly or not. Sachar? Louis Sachar? Maybe that's how it's pronounced. Oh, yes. Sachar tort? That's a baking term for a particular type of cake. So Louis Sachar, because that's French. So figured that one out. Okay, so this is fantasy, I believe. I'm just doing, gaslight fantasy, historical fantasy, magical fantasy. So sounds like pure fantasy style book. It says, long ago and far away and somewhere south of France lies the kingdom of Escravita. Their princess Tulia, these names, is nearly as much peril as her struggling kingdom. Escavita desperately needs to forge an alliance, and to that end, Tulia's father has arranged a marriage between her and an audacious prince. However, 1 month before the wedding of the century, Tulia falls in love with a lowly apprentice scribe. The king turns to Anatoly, his much maligned magician. 17 years earlier, when Anatoly first came to the castle, he was regarded as something of a prodigy. But after a long series of failures, the latest being an attempt to transform sand into gold, he has become the object of contempt and ridicule. The only one who still believes in him is the princess. When the king orders Anatoly to brew a potion that will ensure Tulia agrees to the wedding, Anatoly is faced with an impossible choice. With one chance to save the marriage, the kingdom, and of most importance to him, his reputation, will he betray the princess or risk ruin? So this sounds like the focus of it is Anatoly, our magician. So, which I think sounds interesting. All right, so that's that one. Then we have The Dead Husband Cookbook by Danielle Valentine. Now, I have read from something from Danielle Valentine. It was How to Survive Your Murder, which was a YA horror type book, and I loved it. So, this certainly does sound interesting. Obviously, it's a sort of thriller, and the synopsis says, one husband, well done. Ooh. I mean, that's kind of creepy, just the word. When infamous chef, restaurateur, and television personality Maria Capella's husband died, the media circus was intense and quick to cast the blame. Whispers claimed Maria murdered her husband to build her culinary empire on his bones, and that there was an all too grisly reason his body was never recovered. Yet for the past few decades, the Capello family maintained their stony silence until now. Thea Woods has no idea why she was chosen to work with Maria on her sure-to-be infamous memoir, but she doesn't question her luck. Spirited away to the Capello's rustic upstate farm, she's soon embroiled in the mystery and cut off from the rest of the world. It should be the job of a lifetime, but sometimes not quite right with the close-knit clan. But something's not quite right with the close-knit clan, and Damien Capello isn't the only one to go mysteriously missing over the years. As the true story of Maria's past unfolds and the stench of rot hidden behind the kind coastal grandmother veneer rises, Thea finds herself trapped and desperately afraid, because there are reasons why Damien's body was never found, and why in over 30 years Maria Capello has never revealed the secret ingredient in her most famous recipe. Okay, I mean, it's very much in keeping with How to Survive Your Murder, because that was creepy and gross, and yeah. I mean, this interests me. Of course it does, because I'm weird. But yeah, and I like her writing style. So this sounds like it could be really good. Now, I don't know if it will follow the similar sort of structure that How to Survive Your Murder did. How to Survive Your Murder kind of jumped around timelines. It made sense the way it worked, because it was kind of rewinding and starting over, sort of. It was a very unusual way to structure a book, but I enjoyed it very much. So this one could be just as good. We shall see on that one. Talking too much. Got to keep going. Okay. Zomromcom. So this is obviously romantic comedy, plus size female. Teaming up with your neighbor during a zombie outbreak is no brainer, but it turns out he's a vampire. The stakes couldn't be higher in this infectious new paranormal romance from the author of, spoiler alert, so it's Olivia Dade wrote this, and I've never read anything from her, but I have to admit, I like the sound of this. It says, when Edie Brandstrup attempts to save her sweet, seemingly harmless human neighbor from the first major zombie breach in 2 decades, she's stunned to be saved by him and his ridiculously large sword instead. As it turns out, he's actually a super old, super surly vampire. But for all her neighbor's newly revealed cynicism and lethality, Gaston Max Boucher, yes, Gaston, is unexpectedly protective. He wants her to stay in his safety bunker until the breach is resolved. Edie can't risk more innocent people getting killed, though, and Max won't let her save them alone. So she's got like a meat cleaver and he has his sword. Oh, fun. This sounds like a lot of fun. I'm probably going to pick that one up, if I'm going to be honest. I'm also likely going to pick this next one up, which is The Blonde Who Came In From the Cold by Allie Carter. I have the first book. I just got it. I picked it up on Book Outlet. And I was super stoked to pick that one up on Book Outlet because I had wanted to read it for a little while. So this is the, looks like the same author and same person, same main character. 10 years ago, they joined the CIA. 6 years ago, he left the game. 5 years ago, they fell in love. 1 year ago, she ran out into the cold with absolutely no intention of ever coming back. And 2 minutes ago, they woke up bloody and bruised and handcuffed together in the dark. That sounds really good. Sounds like it's a continuation, but could be just potentially a different story in the series. I don't know, because I have no idea where the first story ends off, obviously, because I haven't read that yet. So this is also an August 5th release. Very excited for this one. And we have one more. Yeah. This one is a romance. It is If Not For My Baby by Kate Golden. And I don't know what, is it just a basic romance? Rockstar romance. Yeah. So romantic, it's listed under romantic comedy, but it is a rock star romance. And it's the duet of a lifetime when a rock star and his backup singer find a new kind of harmony off stage in this sensational contemporary romance. So that's all I'm going to say. I don't typically myself read a lot of contemporary romance, and I can tell you without a doubt I don't read rock star romance. I don't particularly like them. That's just me. I'm literally just getting into some sports romances. Never was a huge. I read romantic suspense. That is my thing. Love romantic suspense. I'm starting to get into a lot more authors that write that style. So I don't know if I would pick that one up, but I have to admit, I actually think the cover's beautiful. So, okay, so that is it for the release date of the 5th. So now we're going to move on to our release date of August 12th. So we're going to start our August 12th off with a thriller from Karin Slaughter called We Are All Guilty Here. And this is, it says book one of one, North Falls thriller. So I don't know if this is a new series that she's creating, because I know she tends to write in interconnected series about one particular detective or person that's involved in law enforcement. So let's read the synopsis just quickly here. It says, welcome to North Falls, a small town where everyone knows everyone, or so they think, until the night of the fireworks when 2 teenage girls vanish and the town ignites. For Officer Emily Clifton, it's personal. She turned away when her best friend's daughter needed help, and now she must bring her home. But as Emmy combs through the puzzles the girls left behind, she realizes she never really knew them. Nobody did. Every teenage girl has secrets, but who would kill for them, and what else is the town hiding? So I do find, now I've only read one Karin Slaughter, but I've read enough synopsis from her different books. They all seem to center around smaller towns. So that looks like a really good one. Then next in line is, looks fun. Fun. I say fun. It's a thriller. Obviously, it has murder. It talks about serial killer. It says Too Old for This by Samantha Downing. It's a retired serial killer's quiet life is upended by an unexpected visitor. To protect her secret, there's only one option left. What's another murder? Lottie Jones thought her crimes were behind her. Decades earlier, she changed her identity and tucked herself away in a small town. From her most exciting nights are the weekly bingo games at the local church and gossiping with her friends. When investigative journalist Plum Dixon shows up on her doorstep asking questions about Lottie's past, and specifically her involvement with numerous unsolved cases, well, Lottie just can't have that. But getting away with murder is hard enough when you're young. And when Lottie receives another annoying knock on the door, she realizes this crime might just be the death of her. Now, obviously, this is an older woman, and yeah, I thought that one sounded like a lot of fun. All right, lots of thrillers in the August 12th releases. Not sure what it says about August 12th, but and the summer. Next one is The Society of Unknowable Objects by Gareth Brown. Now, I'm not sure. Let me just double check what this is rated as. It said magic, mystery, and adventure collide in a standalone fantasy thriller from the author of The Book of Doors. I never read The Book of Doors, but I know I've heard it mentioned a number of times, so there might be quite a few people who would be interested in this. The world of unknowable objects, magical items that most people have no idea possess power, has been quiet for decades, but the 3 current members of a secret society have remained watchful, meeting every 6 months in the basement of a bookshop in London. They are pledged to protect their archive of magical items hidden away, safe from the outside world, the world safe from them. But when Frank Simpson, the long-standing member of the Society of Unknowable Objects, hears a new artifact coming to light in Hong Kong, he sends Magda Sparks, author by day and newest member, to investigate. Within hours in arriving in Hong Kong, Magda is facing death and danger, confronted by a professional killer who seems to know all about unknowable objects, specifically one that was stolen from him a decade before. Magda is forced to flee using an artifact that not even the rest of the society knows about. I'm not going to continue. I actually think that sounds really interesting. Maybe a little bit of sort of a little bit of the Tainted Cup kind of feel to it, you know, fantasy thriller. Tainted Cup is like fantasy, mystery, detective. So I love that kind of the idea of blending those genres because I think they actually work together really well. So this one sounds really good. I mean, obviously you don't have to read the Book of Doors to read this one. That was just one of the other ones. So that one sounds interesting to me. Next one up is High Season by Katie Bishop, and I believe this is contemporary fiction, coming of age fiction. Oh, it says psychological thriller, murder thrillers. So it's a coming of age thriller of some sort. It says, never speak of that summer. On a beautiful summer's night 20 years ago, troubled 17-year-old Tamara Drayton was found floating face down in the pool of her family's idyllic mansion in the south of France, leaving her twin brother, Golden Boy Blake, to pick up the pieces of their shattered family. Also left behind was her sister Nina, who at 6 years old became the youngest person ever to testify in a French murder trial, because she's the only one who saw what happened, who watched as her babysitter, Josie Jackson, pushed Tamara under the water and held her there until she stopped breathing. Didn't she? 20 years later, Nina's memories have faded, leaving her with no idea of what really transpired that night. When a new true crime documentary about her sister's murder is announced, Nina thinks this might be her chance to finally find out. But the truth always comes at a cost. Who will pay the price? So, yeah, psychological thriller. Pretty interesting. Like I said, it's a thrilling August 12th. I don't know. Don't know why that is, but it is. Okay, next one on the list is The Witch's Orchard by Archer Sullivan. And this is rated as private investigator, small town, rural fiction, women sleuths. So again, another mystery detective. Former Air Force Special Investigator Annie Gore joined the military right after high school to escape the fraught home life of her childhood. Now she's getting by as a private investigator, and her latest case takes her to an Appalachian holler, not unlike the one where she grew up. 10 years ago, 3 little girls went missing from their tiny mountain town. While one was returned, the others were never seen again. After all this time without answers, the brother of one of the girls wants to hire an outsider, and he wants Annie. While she may not be from his town, she gets mountain towns. Mountain people driving back into the hills for a case this old. It might be a fool's errand, but Annie needs to put money in the bank, and she can't turn down the case, not even one that dredges up her own painful past. That sounds interesting too, I would say. So, again, thriller, mystery, crime. Don't know what it is about it. This one is not. Next up is a fantasy. So, Warrior Princess Assassin by Brigid Kemmerer. I'll just say Brigid. Leave it at that. Yes, so it says it's a fiery tale of love, betrayal, and survival. A prince, a warrior king, and an assassin caught in a web of magic and deception. Perfect for summer reading. And it says it's Braided Fate Book 1, so it sounds like the first one in a series. I'm not going to read the synopsis is like super, super long, so I'm not going to read that. But let me just check to see. Yeah, it's magic romance. It says LGBTQ representation and fantasy and magic romance. So that certainly sounds like a good option for anybody looking for that doesn't want a thriller, mystery, or crime book for August 12th. Then the next one is called What Hunger by Catherine Dang. And this looks like it's another sort of coming of age Asian American and Pacific Islander literature, American horror, coming of age fiction. So those are what it's rated under. And it says, a haunting coming-of-age tale following the daughter of Vietnamese immigrants, Ronnie Nguyen, as she grapples with the weight of generational trauma while navigating the violent power of teenage girlhood. So I thought the cover was great. It's a little creepy, but I thought the cover was really great. All right, next one on the list is Kiss Her Goodbye, a Frankie Elkin novel. So this is, it says book 4 of 4. I'm assuming that it is, each story is different because it looks like, I think it's a thriller. Yeah, it's a police procedural suspense crime thriller. So it's the same, obviously it follows the same character, but different cases in each. And in this one, it says, recent Afghan refugee and young mother, Sabira Ahmadi, was last seen exiting her place of work 3 weeks ago. The local police have yet to open a case, while her older, domineering husband seems unconcerned. At the insistence of Sabira's closest friend, missing persons expert Frankie Elkin agrees to take up the search just in time for a video of Sabira to surface, showing her walking away from the scene of a brutal double murder. That sounds really good. Now, I would be more inclined to start at book 1, just simply because even though typically these are set, each one is a separate story, I like to follow the main character as they develop through the books, because that does happen quite a bit. So I would potentially go back and read the first one in the series, see if I liked it, and then continue from there. Okay, so next one is Woven from Clay by Jenny Birch, and this is a, what to say, it's not categorized, which is really bizarre, kind of, I think. In this fresh and imaginative and contemporary fantasy, a golem must master the magic that binds her together and finds an unexpected ally in the mysterious boy sent to ensure her demise. So Terry Slater might not know anything about her birth family or where she comes from, but that's never stopped her, and she fully intends her senior year to be her best yet, until the dark and mysterious Thorn Wilder, a magical bounty hunter, moves to town, bringing revelations that wreck all of her plans. So it sounds like a romantasy of some sort. I think the cover is beautiful. Okay, absolutely. Like if you look at the intricate picture of her in behind the text, I mean, it's just, yeah, it's gorgeous. It says, Unearth Secrets, Unraveled Magic. So, love the sound of that one. Then the next one I have is Lucky Day by Chuck Tingle. And what was the other one? Bury Your Gaze? Because I remember hearing about that one. I did not read it, but I remember that one. And it is obviously LGBTQ. It says ghost thriller, science fiction, crime, and mystery. Which sounds really good. Let's see. 4 years ago, an unthinkable disaster occurred in what was later known as the low probability event. 8 million people were killed in a single day, each of them dying in improbable, bizarre ways, strangled by balloon ropes, torn apart by exploding manhole covers, attacked by a chimpanzee wielding a typewriter. A day of freak accidents that proved anything is possible no matter the odds. Luck is real now, and it's not always good. Vera, a former statistics and probability professor, lost everything that day, and she still struggles to make sense of the unbelievable catastrophe. To her, the LPE proved that the god of order is dead, and nothing matters anymore. When Special Agent Lane shows up at Vera's doorstep, she learns he's investigating a suspiciously and statistically possibly lucky casino. He needs her help to prove the casino's success is connected to the deaths of millions, and it's Vera's last chance to make sense of a world that doesn't. Yeah. That sounds, well, I guess when you look at the cover, it's the king from a card deck. More or less. It's a great cover. Okay, great cover. Yeah, love the sound of that one. That was really cool. Okay, next one is Heartstrings by Ivy Fairbanks, and this is a sizzling exes to lover second chance romance. So, and she's plus size. He's obviously a musician. I was going to say magician. I suppose magician with music, but he's a musician. I don't know. I can't say that tongue-tied. She doesn't do second chances, but he's not done writing their song. So that's that one. And that is the last one for August 12th. And now we're on to our next release date, which is August 19th. We're starting off strong for August 19th, and that is the third book in the Lakefront Billionaires, Love Arranged by Lauren Asher. Now, I have read both. Is it Love? It's Love Redesigned and Love Unwritten. I just have to take a quick look at that. Love Redesigned was middle of the road for me. Loved Unwritten, absolutely love that. It was fantastic. 5 stars for me. So this one is Lorenzo and Lily, who are characters, obviously, that have kind of come along in all of the books. And Lorenzo is the asshole of the town. Nobody likes him. And Lily is the sister of the guy from the first book, and she's sort of a stepsister for Rafe, who was from the second book. And they're kind of really super close, the three of them. And so this is 5 months, 2 people in love, 1 fake relationship with an expiration date. Sounds simple enough. The problem is Lily Munez and I have history. So this is Lorenzo we're talking about. So when she volunteers to date me so I can improve my public image, I should say no. Our past complicates everything, but since my future depends on her, I agree to her plan. Faking it for the public is expected, but falling in love in private, that isn't part of our arrangement. Lily, using a dating app sounded like a great idea, up until I discovered Lorenzo Vittori was my match. My sister's boyfriend hates him, my mom is wary of him, and me, I've spent the last year avoiding him. But when my business is threatened, I'm forced into teaming up with Lorenzo to save it. All I need to do is help him win the mayoral election. So he's trying to be elected for mayor. Good to know. And he promises to protect my shop. He doesn't take me long to learn that I'm not cut out for fake relationships. But Lorenzo, he isn't capable of a real one. Yeah. So it sounds like it's going to be interesting. I've liked both characters throughout the other 2 books, especially Lily. Love Lily. No, I likely will pick this one up. Actually, I have it on pre-order. So clearly I'm going to be picking this one up. And I will read it because I've read the other 2 books. Okay, then the next one up is Hemlock and Silver by T. Kingfisher. So we know that all T. Kingfisher books are in the fantasy realm. And this is healer Anja regularly drinks poison, not to die, but to save, seeking cures for those everyone else has given up on. But a summons from the king interrupts her quiet, herb-obsessed life. His daughter Snow is dying, and he hopes Anya's unorthodox methods can save her. Aided by a taciturn guard, a narcissistic cat, and a passion for the scientific method, Anya rushes to treat Snow, but nothing seems to work. That is until she finds a secret world hidden inside a magic mirror. This dark realm may hold the key to what is making Snow sick, or it might be the thing that kills them all. So typical with hers, it's got a bit of a thriller element, a bit of a mystery element, and the fantasy, the magic part of it. Sounds like a good book. Her books are hit and miss for me. Really kind of depends. Some of them I like, some of them I don't like. So, we shall see. Then we have Joy Moody is Out of Time by Karen Main. So this is, I think, a thriller, murder, domestic, oh, maybe not. No, it says domestic life in women's fiction, family life, contemporary women's fiction. Strange things are happening behind the bright pink facade of Bayside's premier laundromat, Joyful Suds, home to Joy Moody and her twin daughters. For much of their lives, Joy has been lying to Cassie and Andy. What started as a colorful tale to explain how the twins came to life with her grew over the years and was always something she meant to set straight. Joy really did think she had more time. Worse still, Joy is struggling to define the truth from her lies. The girls have long believed they are vital to the future and must stay hidden to stay safe. Joy has told them that their impending 21st birthday is significant. They will step into their roles as leaders of a revolution, and life as they know will change. Joy was right. Everything will change, just not the way they expected. On Andy and Cassie's birthday, Joy Moody is found dead, and her girls face a world they are not prepared for without their mother. Joy Moody is out of time in more ways than one. I kind of don't like the way the synopsis ended because it kind of gives, unless she dies at the beginning of the book, which maybe she does. I don't know. But yeah, I don't to me, that gave that away. You know, you're thinking why is she out of time? Well, she's out of time because she dies. So I'm like, okay. So the book is not really about her. It's about her daughters. Or it should be about her daughters. Okay, next book. The Marigold Cottages Murder Collective by Joe Nichols. It's a perfect summer read full of charm, heart, and written in the vein of the Thursday Murder Club or Only Murders in the Building, but with a Southern California twist. No, it's not, there's no category ratings for it. It says, Mrs. B, the landlady of the Marigold Cottages, is a stubborn idealist who only rents to people she cares about. Sophie, an anxious young playwright with a dark past. Hamilton, an agoraphobe who lives to overshare. Ocean, a queer sculptor raising 2 kids alone. The perfectionist Lily Ann, and Nicholas, a finance bro who's hiding secrets. The tenants live contentedly in their dollhouse bungalows in Santa Barbara, just minutes from the beach, until their peace is shattered when Anthony, a quiet, hulking, and potentially violent ex-con, moves in. 3 weeks later, a dead body is discovered in the streets of the peaceful neighborhood. Anthony is arrested, and the tenants heave sighs of relief until Mrs. B, convinced that he's innocent, marches down to the police station and confesses to the crime herself. The tenants band together and form the Magical Cottages Murder Collective to save their beloved landlady. As clues are unearthed and secrets are revealed, the community of misfits only grows more tight-knit until a second body is found. Full of eccentricity, humor, community, the Marigold Cottages Murder Collective will keep you hooked until the last page. Yeah, she sounds really good. Sounds like a cozy murder mystery type one, and I'm there for those. So I potentially would pick that one up. Then we have the last one on the list for the 19th, and that is One Dark Night by Hannah Rochelle. That is a ghost mystery suspense, so obviously some kind of ghost thriller. When a body is found the day after Halloween, a small British community must reckon with its past and the dangers lurking in its present in a spine-tingling novel from the not-to-be-missed Hannah Rochelle. On Halloween, a group of teenage students meet in the woods near Sally in the Wood, a road steeped in local lore and rumored to be haunted by a ghost of by the ghost of a murdered girl. By the end of the night, one student will be dead. Sounds good. That is another thriller. I mean, August is big on the thrillers. Yeah, a little big on the thrillers. So that's it for August 19th. And our last release date is August 26th. So we're on to our last 7 books from for the month of August for releases, and August 26th is starting off with one that I know a lot of people are either waiting for or people have read arcs of this. Yeah, so all kinds of special editions. There is a deluxe limited special edition available on Amazon for this one, which is Catabasis by R.F. Kuang. Now, I'm going to be perfectly frank. Doesn't sound like something I would be interested in. Most of her books actually don't interest me all that much. The only one that I've really wanted to read is Yellowface, but haven't picked that one up yet. But her other stuff kind of doesn't appeal to me personally. But this one is rated as, where was it again? Metaphysical and visionary fiction, ghost horror fiction, occult horror fiction. So different, and I think it has a bit of a fantasy element to it as well. So the story of a hero's descent to the underworld. Alice Law has only ever had one goal: to become one of the brightest minds in the field of magic. She has sacrificed everything to make that a reality: her pride, her health, her love life, and most definitely her sanity, all to work with Professor Jacob Grimes at Cambridge, the greatest magician in the world. That is until he dies in a magical accident that could possibly be her fault. Grimes is now in hell, and she's going in after him because his recommendation could hold her very future in his now incorporeal hands, and even death is not going to stop the pursuit of her dreams, nor will the fact that her rival, Peter Murdoch, has come to the very same conclusion. With nothing but the tales of Orpheus and Dante to guide them, enough chalk to draw the pentagrams necessary for their spells, and the burning desire to make all the academic trauma mean anything, they set off across hell to save a man they don't even like. But hell is not like the storybooks say. Magic isn't always the answer, and there's something in Alice and Peter's past that could forge them into the perfect allies or lead them to their doom. So that is the synopsis for that one. And as I said, I know that a lot of people are waiting for that one. And August 26th is the release date for it. Next up, we have Forget Me Not by Stacey Willingham. So I believe this is a thriller, psychological crime thriller. And pulse-pounding new Southern thriller from the author of the runaway bestseller A Flicker in the Dark. And this says 22 years ago, Claire Campbell's older sister Natalie disappeared shortly after her 18th birthday. Days later, her blood was found in a car. A man was arrested, and the case was swiftly closed. In the decades since, Claire has attempted to forget her traumatic past by moving to the city and climbing the ranks as an investigative journalist until an unexpected call from her father forces her to come back home and face it all anew. With the entire summer now looming ahead, a summer spent with nothing to do in her childhood home with her estranged mother, Claire decides on a whim to accept a seasonal job at Galloway Farm, a muscadine vineyard in coastal South Carolina, less than an hour away from where she grew up. At first glance, Galloway is an idyllic escape for Claire, a scenic retreat full of slow-paced nostalgia, as well as a place where her sister seemed truly happy in the last summer before she vanished. It feels like the perfect plan to pass the time. However, as soon as Claire starts to settle in, she stumbles across an old diary written by one of the vineyard's owners, and what at first seems like a story of young rebellion and love turns into something much more sinister as it begins to describe details of various unsolved crimes. As the days stretch on, Claire finds herself becoming more and more secluded as she starts to obsess over the diary's contents, as well as the lingering feeling that her own sister's disappearance may be somehow tied to it. Galloway was supposed to be a place to help her move forward, but instead, Claire quickly finds herself immersed in her own dark and dangerous past. So, definitely a thriller, that one. Next on the list, Until the World Falls Down from Jordan Lind. It's a dark fantasy romance of love, betrayal, and self-acceptance in the face of eternal temptation and dangerous choices. It says Labyrinth meets Beauty and the Beast, so that's sort of the comp. And it's a spellbinding, sexy, romantic debut about a woman with a broken heart, the seductive immortal who imprisons her, the magical labyrinth that may be her salvation, and the dangerous attraction that could destroy them both. Fantasy romance. Yeah. All right. Next one up is The Gilded Heiress. The Gilded Heiress. I'm having like English issues. So just, bear with me. A steamy historical Gilded Age romance. Get lost in the glitz and the glamour. What is it rated as? Yeah, it just says historical romance, Gilded Age romance, American historical romance. So it's a historical romance for people that like historical romances. In 1880, a baby was stolen from the wealthiest family in America. Though no ransom was ever demanded, the Pendleton family never gave up hope, and their reward became the stuff of legend. After being raised in a children's asylum, Josie Smith ends up on the streets, quickly learns how to take care of herself. Her singing voice draws crowds on every corner, and she'll stop at nothing to become famous and travel the world, loved and adored by all. Maybe then she won't think about the family who gave her away as an infant. Leo Hardy isn't afraid to use his charm and wits to make a fast buck, especially with a mother and 5 siblings to support. When he stumbles upon a beautiful young woman singing on the street, Leo notices her striking resemblance to the infamous missing baby's mother, Mrs. Thomas Pendleton. The Hardys lost everything thanks to the Pendletons, and once Leo sees Josie, he seizes the opportunity to settle the score. All he needs to do is pull off the biggest swindle of his career. As the two are catapulted into Knickerbocker high society, they grow closer to their goal, as well as to each other. But secrets can only stay hidden for so long. Soon the truth unfolds, and both Josie and Leo must separate what's real from what's just gilding. Interesting history. Sounds like it's got a bit of a thriller aspect to it too. Definitely a mysterious sound to it. Yeah. Next up, The Good Vampire's Guide to Blood and Boyfriends by Jamie D'Amato. This is Heartstopper meets Buffy in this queer paranormal rom-com where a college sophomore must navigate suddenly becoming a vampire, the underground society he's now part of, and the cute boy who discovers his secret. So that sounds cute, right? Yeah. No category ratings on this one, but I think that sounds like it's fun, and yeah, and I think the cover's cute too. So, okay, then next one is How Bad Things Can Get by Darcy Coates. So we all know Darcy Coates writes thrillers and suspense, and this says horror fiction, serial killer thrillers, and suspense is what it's rated under. It was supposed to be the party of the century, miles of idyllic white sand beaches, lush jungle foliage, and a dark legend nobody dreamed might be all too true. When an online influencer and several hundred of his most loyal fans land on Prosperity Island, the plan is simple. 5 days of elaborate games, drinking, and suntanned fun. A week in paradise should have been a welcome respite. The only survivor of an infamous cult, Ruth, wants nothing more than to keep her head down and not draw attention. She spent decades outrunning her blood-soaked childhood, and her identity is closely held secret. But then the true history of the island is revealed, along with its sinister connection to Ruth's past. As guests go missing and games turn deadly, Ruth and the rest of the attendees are forced to question whether they've really been invited to paradise or whether something much darker or far bloodier is waiting for them just beyond the bonfire's light. That sounds really good. I really like Darcy Coates, so yeah, August 26th. Good one. Just a nice way to close it off with all the thrillers, right? Yeah, really good one. Okay, The Book of Lost Hours by Haley Gelfuso. I think that's how that's pronounced. For fans of the Ministry of Time and the Midnight Library, sweeping, unforgettable novel following 2 remarkable women moving between post-war and Cold War era America, a mysterious time space, a library filled with books containing the memories of those who bore witness to history. So what's categorized? Yeah, it's categorized in time travel romance. So it must be romance. If it's romance between the 2 women, then it would be obviously LGBTQ, and a time travel science fiction. So has a bit of that science fiction element to it. The synopsis is very long, so I'm not going to read that. But, so that is it for the book releases for the month of August. As I said, there are 35 in there, so 35 really wonderful books to choose from. Lots in there that I think could potentially be Book of the Month and Aardvark even. And definitely, so I have a few of my own pre-orders in there. And there are other ones that I am interested in, but they're the kind that I have other ones I have to read before, so I might pick them up later. And at some point they may end up on Book Outlet, which is my best way to buy because the books are cheap. Anyway, so that's it for this video. I don't have anything else to share. I'm done. It's going to be a long video. So that's enough said. I'll see you in the next one.